If you're watching this on YouTube and Instagram later, welcome. Please subscribe. Please follow. Don't be stingy. Don't be dusty. Don't be tight. A follow and a subscribe don't cost a thing. Let's get into it. This is going to be a deprogramming and deconstruction session. I help survivors to deprogram and deconstruct their mind through cult psycho ed. My name's Leah Lawyer and I'm your favorite megachurch cult survivor. Let's get into it. I want to start off by saying that this is going to come with a trigger warning. And so I would say that this is going to be going quite deep. I'm going to be going into neuroscience. You will probably, come to certain realizations that perhaps you haven't, come to before. So how does indoctrination reshape the brain? So firstly, it's about fear, conditioning, and the alarm system. Again, I'm not a specialist. I've got this off ChatGPT. I'm going to be reading and trying my best to use experiences, not only of myself, but those of the collective. I represent thousands of survivors all around the world who have experienced church cult abuse. All right, so fear, conditioning, and the alarm system. So the amygdala and HPA axis, this is in the brain. This is where the stress hormones are released. So because of the repeated threats, so things like hell, curses, shunning, if you were in an apocalyptic cult, which is like very Armageddon, end times, if you're in like a fundamentalist evangelical type of cult, then you would have experienced, you will experience CPTSD as a result. Pair dissent with danger. So what happens is because your amygdala, that part of your brain is overworking, it's like that sense of awareness to be able to preempt danger ahead of you, situations that could be harmful, etc. Because your brain is just unalived, you're not making any decisions, you're not using critical thought, you're just obeying instructions. Do you know what I mean? Like a mannequin. So what happens is it's like you're cut off to your sense of self, your intuition, your senses, smell, hearing, etc., which is all linked to your brain. So your alarm system fires faster and louder at the thought of questioning. Sleep deprivation and overload reduce prefrontal control, which is all about planning, discernment. I think critical thought would come into that. Maybe, where we're looking at decisions, it's that element of the brain. So fear wins the internal argument, okay? Because it slows it down, the sleep deprivation. So there's this overload and the prefrontal, it can't cope with this overload, and then the sleep deprivation and everything that's going on. It's too much. Survivor impact. So how this impacts you is hypervigilance. Hypervigilance, guilt spikes when you set boundaries, panic, when you skip meetings or say no. So you'll be on like hypervigilance, like walking on eggshells. Do you know what I mean? This is what I spoke about earlier. The way that, you're not sleeping, you're not eating properly, you're at these meetings constantly, then you've got a malignant narcissistic leader who's paranoid and come up with, they've got a feeling in the prophetic, spiritually speaking, they've had this dream and they think guys, it's just a very toxic, unhealthy environment to be in. So there's a lot of guilt through condemnation and conviction. And this spikes when you try to set boundaries, or the thought of having to set boundaries, or the thought of having to speak out or question something. Then you will panic. And the thought of even skipping meetings or saying no's. And that's why I say when you come out of the cult, one of the things that you've really got to work on is your boundaries. Just practicing saying no. And that's what I really helped survivors with post-cult exit, even when we were having conversations, like saying you can say no, think about it. Just teaching people those basic skills, just in having communication and relating with me. I'm not a leader, I'm not a pastor. You don't need to explain why you didn't come to the survivors link up. Like, it's not that vibe, innit? So even like the survivors link up and just communicating with other survivors, it will even build your social skills, because you've been around, not only have you been around the same people, but you form trauma bonds with people. So it's not even real relationships. Everything's superficial. Everything's about targets. Everything's about the cult leader and about the self-sealing system. So there's no real authentic relationships. What do you bond on apart from your trauma and your knowledge of the cult leader and the scriptures. Do you get my drift? All right. So then they also enforced reward, hijack, and intermittent reinforcement. So then the dopamine will kick in when you're rewarded. So do you see that this is the positive and negative reinforcement system that comes into play here? So the dopamine is the reward, and the ventral striatum. Oh, chair. So the dopamine reward and the ventral striatum, love bombing, public praise, prophecies, and peak worship moments create high highs. So I don't know what ventral striatum means. If anybody does, you can put it in the, go ahead and put it in the chat. But I'm sure it's just like that high, do you know what I mean? And that need for it, that feeling, that exhilaration that you get, the feeling of it. So intermittent reinforcement, sometimes accepted, sometimes shamed. You know, the rejection. Imagine if you come in there and you got rejection issues, chair. And it's just, do you know what I mean? It just triggers it. It all comes to surface level. And then when you leave, you have this crash. You come crashing down because the whole system that supports you, your whole codependent system, they've just discarded you. They've just left you for unalivement. It's absolutely crazy. All right. So intermittent reinforcement, sometimes accepted, sometimes shamed, makes attachment stronger. The casino effect. Oh, so it's that push and pull, the see, like the gambling, that same thrill, like, because you're walking on eggshells, isn't it? Do I win today? Is she in a good or a bad mood? Russian roulette. Ciao. These mogs and these leaders, yeah, oh my gosh, they've got the most trauma. And it's all covered. They just put a bandage over it, you know, with the religion. So it's hyper-religiosity, in it, Queen? It's hyper-religiosity, yeah. And they just don't deal with the trauma. So there's a lot of projection. Hey, Spirit of Truth. There's a lot of survivors that have come out and said that, you know, especially the beautiful ones. Oh, so sad. All of the girls that leave that are beautiful, it's the same blood clot story, yeah. They were trying to police their outfits, just the jealousy, just the same thing. Same thing. All right. So oxytocin from synchronized singing, chanting, boost bonding with the group, and crucially the leader. Do you know what I'm thinking? As I hear these things, dopamine, intermittent reinforcement, oxytocin, do you know what bells are ringing? Depression, mental health, anxiety. Because you know when you take like antidepressants, it's for that dopamine, isn't it, queens, king and queens? It's for that the oxytocin. All these names are ringing alarm bells to me. So it's all making sense. That's why I said that addicts, people with mental health, it's like they become addicted to the environment. So it's like, I'm just waiting for Wednesday refill. It's like a hit. They know they just got to make it, you know, they feel like deleting themselves. I just got to make it until Wednesday. It's mad, jail. That's how I was anyway, jail. Oh, Spirit of Truth said I was feeling so down. What, when you were in the cult? Oh, you was feeling so down now. Girl, we in this together and whatever. What I've been doing, Spirit of Truth, is I've been doing segments and I'm moving around my different accounts. Love you, girl. I'm moving around to different accounts. Thank you, White Heart, as I'm doing each segment. So I've done the malignant narcissist. So, girl, if you're feeling really down, I'll get something up. My YouTube has got so many edits and playlists, girl. You could just binge watch that and you'll be fine. Go and get yourself a little glass of bubbly. Go and get that, girl, and go and binge watch. You'll feel right as rain, yeah. I need to do a little playlist, innit, to encourage us. I'm going to do a little encouragement playlist, yeah. And some with my singing as well. I was in a narcissistic marriage. Oh, girl, message me, yeah. Spirit of Truth, message me, yeah. I hope the content helps because, do you know what, though? When we strip it all back, the cult leader is a malignant narcissist, but that's like an exasperated version of the narcissist. Then we have many levels at the leadership level, the shepherd, the disciple, the mentor, whatever. And it's that one-on-one relationship. That's like a one-on-one cult, a narcissist, because we have family cults, etc. So that's why the content will resonate with you. Thank you so much, Queen Lucia. Can you pin that, my love, please? So that's my YouTube channel, girl. All right. So how does this impact on the survivor? If it's giving us the dopamine that we need, the intermittent, the reinforcement, the validation, we're becoming codependent. And then remember, all the friendships that we form in there are trauma bonds. So that's going to be even harder to break and leave. And then remember, we form trauma bonds with our so-called souls, the people that we need to, save. And then there's the fear, and then there's the fear of abandonment, the guilt of leaving people behind. And you get people coming on here, I feel so guilty, I invited that person and they're still in there, I can't believe it. Carrying the guilt and the fear of leaving that person and being held accountable, to God, and going to HELL or being punished. Guys, it's so deep, chair. Because the punishment and all of the ABUSE, it's not just in the 3D realm, chair. They're taking it to heaven, chair. They're taking it to the 7th heaven. They're doing up, eternity. That's what I said, babes. I don't believe in what y'all believing in, chair. Because I'm not going to be where you going to be. And you can't try and manipulate me and make me buy an invisible blessing, baby. There's many things I could spell. I'd rather go Weatherspoons, my love. I'd rather go Weatherspoons, share. I'm not even giving you Weatherspoons money, them ones. I'm not even giving you a tenner, chair. To be honest, I feel guilty when I left church. Can you pin that, please? Spirit of truth, I don't get you, my love. Just say it again. Lucia, can you pin that for me, please? Do you know what, Whiteheart? Do you know what's crazy, right? I'll share this quickly before I go on. And this is for you, girl, or king, but I think you're a girl. I have been editing like my hour-long lives, and it takes a lot of time. It's a lot of commitment. But I've decided to do it because some really good golden nuggets are coming out of my lives, and I'm just not capturing them. And a lot of people also don't get to see the lives. So I'm just putting these snippets up. Anyway, my point is, when I was watching back the live, because I'm even forgetting things that I'm saying. And anyway, when I was watching back the lives, there was something I said. I think I was going back to, when I first left the church, and I said, oh my God, I remember that first Sunday. I felt so guilty, like, oh my God, I'm a sinner. I've not gone to church. Because it's psychological. They've rewired our brain. So when you leave physically, but psychologically you don't leave. Because you have to remember, there's a lot of timeline shifting. There's a lot of energy manipulation. They've taken us into a different realm because time's non-existent, but they made it stop for us. Do you see? So the point that I'm making is, when you leave, it's like you're in this big bad world, so they say. But the people are kind of, and I've got more peace. That's why I don't want to go back. But it's like the mogs will be telling you and brainwashing you that you're going to go to HELL. Remember, you've been in there for years or months or whatever. You've got all of that trauma. There's a lot of clouded judgment. That's why I say to survivors, don't go and get yourself into a relationship, because you're just going to have more scars and more to heal from, and you don't want to end up getting sectioned. Focus on your blood clot self. Keep your coochie inside the yard. Do up your self-love, have your little baths and cream yourself. Go and get a hobby chair, because these ninjas outside are going to give you more trauma chair. And you don't need that. That's like jumping into the fire to the pan. But what I will say is, if you have been in one of these unalive marriages and you've been like celibate for 10 years, chair, go out there and get your back blown out. Please, chair. Do us all a favor and release some of that pent-up energy. I say go and enjoy yourself, chair. Get it out your system. But if you know you're in an emotionally fragile place, go back. That's what I would say. I just got to keep it real with my ladies, because we do have needs. Go back to a safe ex and chair. If you got that, you know what I mean? If you got that good comfort, then, you can call an ex from 10, 20 years ago and he'll pull up. Them ones. But on a serious level, if you know you're not mentally strong, don't get into a relationship, because that is just not what you need. So, Whiteheart, psychologically, you've got to leave. So on your Sundays, like, what? Soft Life came in here. She's a survivor, but she's a therapist. She's got so much knowledge. She came in and she said something, yeah. And it really did help me, because after that time, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been trying to get more of a balance and ground myself, because I was just on the live. And I've also got to take a step back, because I've got to process it. And I've got to give, like, the survivors, you guys, you also have to spread your wings to also, fill your time. And I feel like people are deconstructing and deprogramming more. So I don't feel like that pull of energy, to be on all the time. Gosh, I'm just disassociated, yeah. But the point that I'm making is, Soft Life said, On Sundays, I do nothing. She's such a queen. I love this girl, Chair. It's a shame she's not here, Chair. She goes, on Sundays, I just do absolutely nothing. Because Sundays, they'd be like, this is your busiest day. You've got to make the most. You've got to maximize the ministry. You've got to do the visitation. You've got to do the outreach. You've got to do your meetings. You've got to do... everything's in one day. So she said, on that day, I just do nothing. And for me, I've got kids in it. So it will be different for everybody else. But I really do see Sunday as my peaceful days. It's like, oh my God, I can do whatever I want. I do spontaneous things. If the weather's nice, I take the kids somewhere nice. We'll get into nature. And I've incorporated a family tradition, which is every Sunday I cook a roast for my daughters, or we go to a lovely little pub inn and we have a roast. And I share that place with some of, like my real people then, because it's so nice there. It's like a home away from home. And when I go there, I feel safe. Because I've got severe mental health, Chair. So I can't be going to restaurants where the people are feisty. I'd rather go to Weatherspoons, where the waitresses are lovely. The people then chat to me in there. You know what I'm saying? You've got to go to a cohesive environment. So that's where I go. And it's become like a family tradition. And I see my kids doing that with their kids and their kids, and this is where you need the time and room and space to create traditions, to create your hobbies, to create things that you like, to create new routines. You need to spend time with stuff. And it's a beautiful journey. Because we can look at this experience like a glass half full or a glass half empty. Let's look at it half full. You can reinvent yourself. You can go wherever you want. Do you want to travel? What do you want to do, White Heart? Do you know what I'm saying? Even, like on a Sunday, just laying in your bed. But I get that you feel guilty. Like, I'm a waste. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not going to church. But it's part of that. Don't you see? Just sitting in your house and doing nothing for the whole Sunday. That's a part of your recovery. Doing nothing. Because you're used to being up and down. Think about it, girl. Laying in your bed, just feel your feet. Feel the relaxation. Order yourself a nice takeaway. Treat yourself. Have breakfast in bed, Chair. What couldn't you do? Like this year, I want to take my kids to see Big Ben, the fireworks, yeah? Or do something with them, because it was always 9 night. I could never... I thought to myself, oh my God, Mike, I'll never be able to show my kids the lights. Do you know how sad that is? So all the things that you couldn't do before, live your life. You've got the freedom to do it. So change the narrative. Because for me, I was like moving with gangbangers. Like I've got a past in it, this, that and the third. When I came out of the cult now, I went a bit, wild. I was on the nightclub scene, dealing with the, the money guys and this, that and the third. But I had to go down that path because I learned that it's about balance. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't balanced. Because you come out, there's so much trauma, girl. You're just all over the place. You can't even think straight. Yeah, so I don't count nothing that happened when I came out. Yeah, it's like that time never existed, baby. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know you. I don't know. You know the old body, man. I don't know who you talking about. Who she be, bitch? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, like you hit the old body, not the new body. I don't know who you mean. Who she be, Jay? You get me? That's on period point blank, child. I'm not here. You get me? You need to learn to just let things go as well, Jay. The past is in the past. Keep it moving. Shake it up. Yeah, man. You get me, my girl? Part of it is being in your room and not doing nothing. But then if you, the thing is, if you feel like you're getting swallowed up, like just being in the house, I would always say nature. That is my go-to. Nature's free. Even if you're broke, Chair, the Lord's gonna provide. You know them ones, the Lord will never leave you nor forsake you. So even if you don't have the peas, it costs nothing. Come sun, rain or shine. You were out there doing outreach, come rain or shine, child. Get your backside outside in the rain and go and twirl around in the rain. Go and stay there and cry in the rain, chair. It will do you the world a good, chair. Go and feel the fresh air. Go and get your backside out there. Go and get a picnic. Go and sit upon grass. Go and get a book. You got to do it for yourself, chair. Thank you, White Heart. Look at it like we have an advantage because we had this trauma. We had this. Now we know we've got to heal from it. But we've all, not everything in the church is bad. But when you come out, you don't want to hear that. But the reality is there is some good stuff like the discipline, the reason I go so hard, the structure, the commitment, all of that. You can channel that into your business, into doing a side hustle. Do you know how many people have done so well? Because they were building someone else's empire. Now I see my man with 6-figure followers. He's getting 6 figures because he's putting all of that energy that he was putting on building a next man's empire into building his own empire and his own generational wealth and legacy for his family. He's not building a next man's legacy and buying invisible blessings like some idiot. At least you're not buying invisible blessings, girl. Tell yourself that every single Sunday. At least I'm not buying invisible blessings. You got to do what you got to do to make yourself feel good. On Sunday, when I play Bob Marley, it makes me think about my nan. It's nostalgia. I play all of my childhood songs. I cook the chicken. It reminds me of my nanny. And I get to share that with my kids. And my kids are like, Mummy, this is the best food I've ever had. You know, it's all part of the, you know, spirit in changing the narrative of Sunday. And this Christmas I've got to do something different, because I've got to change the narrative. Explaining to my kids that, you know, Christmas trees give me PTSD is not an option. Yeah. So I hope that this helps, White Heart. I really do. Like, please, like, even on Sunday, like, watch a lot of cult psycho ed stuff. And I, you know, I want to tell people, like, binge watch my content. It sounds a bit like, oh, I'm telling you to watch myself. But, you know, some of my videos, I don't even have myself on. It's the content. It's what I'm saying. Like, and I know it sounds like the call when I'm saying, have it playing. If you're cooking, if you're washing the dishes, if you are sleeping, if you are whatever, you know, you can have it playing, Charlie. But it's true though, you do need to have it playing, because the deprogramming is the same method, but we're programming ourselves with what we want to program ourselves with. I haven't even healed to the point that I want to. Guys, you know, you can program yourself with anything. Our brain is like a computer. You can program yourself to get rich, program yourself to build company, program yourself to do whatever. There is a certain method when you understand psychology, and these malignant narcissists, they've understood it. Then what they've done is they've infiltrated these spaces, like what I'm talking about, the religious spaces, and they've passed down the knowledge in these false doctrines. Do you get it? Yeah. So you've got to deprogram yourself, girl. I would stay away from the man them. When you first come out, unless you've got an ex that you've known for years, you know, you might want to get your back blown out. I get that. Because when you've been in there for years and then you come out and you realize it's just BS, you do just want to get your back blown out. I'm not going to lie. And some girls, I would say, or guys, just get it out of your system. Get it out of your system so you can focus on your healing journey. And you know what? I can tell you do this A, B, C, and D, but you're going to do what you want to do anyway, because now you have your freedom. Regardless of whether you go down that route, you end up getting your back blown out, or, you know, ending up with another narcissist or whatever. It's all part of the healing. It doesn't really matter which way you do it, because you are going to eventually heal. It's just that when you deal with the mandem, that's like an extra layer. And you know what? If you are going to deal with the mandem, don't deal with broke. All right? That's my last little piece for White Heart. I hope you've enjoyed it. All right. So back onto how it affects our brain when they're doing up indoctrination. Okay. Quick recap. I've spoken about the fear conditioning and the alarm system through them literally rewiring the amygdala part of the brain, sleep deprivation and overload, which reduces the functioning of the prefrontal cortex. Okay, which reduces planning and discernment. So we're literally cut off from our senses. We can't apprehend, do you know what I mean? Like harmful things in front of us, like potential dangers. And that's both spiritual and physical, okay? So it makes us hypervigilant, and we feel guilty and fear to say no. So that's why we turn into doormats, and, you know, we have to put up our boundaries as well when we leave. That's another thing as well, White Heart. Putting up your boundaries, learning to say no, and learning to say no to that voice of programming as well. Like, it's fine. I don't need to go. Because what are you going to do? Why are you going to put yourself in an environment that's going to trigger you? It's going to trigger your PTSD. You're going to be disassociated through half of it. You're going to be crying. You're going to be having panic attacks. You're going to feel anxious going. Do you feel more peaceful? Does the thought of going to one of these settings make you feel really anxious? Then you need to compare it with, if I go and meet one of my friends for a coffee, or if I go to the museum today, or if I go into nature today, how does that make me feel? Does it bring me peace? Does it bring me joy? You can go to an art gallery and look at beautiful art, and within that, God can speak to you through that art. Then you can go and have a beautiful lunch, you know, with yourself. But, you know, you're meditating on the goodness of God. And whilst you're doing that, you're actually learning how to move on with your life, and you're taking your power back all at the same time. So deprogramming and deconstruction is not only about reading and taking the stuff in, but you've got to also apply it. Because one of the biggest things that they do in there is they talk and talk and talk, but there's no application. They can't give you the practical steps on how to heal this, that, and the third. I think once there's so many books I want to write. I want to write a book on healing, a practical guide to healing, like so much. That will happen a bit further along in the journey, because they just don't know how to tell people to heal. There's no practical help. So when you come out, especially if you've been there for years and years, it's like you could have like got recruited when you were 14, then you come out and you're like 32. And it's like coming out of jail. Do you know what I mean? You've got to reintegrate into society. That's how, that's the depth of it, y'all. And I've worked in those establishments, and they have a lot more freedom than us, chair. All right. So when they're indoctrinating you, how this affects your psyche is that the outcome will be thought stopping and language capture. I've mentioned thought stopping, but I'm going to go into this a little bit more in depth. You can watch the full recording on YouTube on Leah Lauder 777, okay? So how does this happen? So the medial prefrontal cortex is trained to default to group doctrine. So it's that part of the brain that then allows the cult leader to assume full control, because we are trained to, at a default, to only accept and process the group doctrine. So do you see how they're rewiring the brain? Because we're getting the same information over and over and over again, y'all. There's no new information coming in. Do you understand? So it's like these parts of the brain, it just stops working. Don't you see? Guys, this is crazy. Like, if a parent doesn't teach a child how to encourage them how to walk, how to learn colors, how to do this, they're not going to know. And then their development, they're going to have a delayed development. Do you understand? And it's the same as what they're doing here. They're literally bringing us back to like the mental functioning of a baby. That's how deep this is. So loaded language compresses complex reality into slogans, e.g. rebellion, Jezebel, covering, which short circuit analysis. So, okay, this is my first time reading this, guys, but what I'm going to say with this is that it will reduce your ability to analyze things, because they're using the mystical manipulation through slogans. So maybe that's what distorts the reality. Do you see? Is what I'm saying making sense? Are people, because guys, this is very complex. We're going into neuroscience. This is very complex theories and hypotheses to understand. But as I said, I didn't look at this pre-live. I've just come on this to process this with you. So I will do another live really going into depth, because I would have liked to explain the prefrontal cortex functioning and the other bits and pieces. But I am on a live, and I do want to just work through this so that I can go onto the other account and do the spiritual father wounds. And they tell you that you have a newborn, that you are a newborn. Yeah, you're a newborn baby. So all of that mystical manipulation with the verses come in. You're a new creation. That's why a lot of preds are in there. Also, we should just forget about the string of the 10 women that you raped allegedly steps. Shall we just forget it now? You are a newborn. That was when he was not saved. It's not now. It's like, are you all right, babe? That's like a woman marrying a PDF and saying, oh, there's previous, because it's going to be fine. He's going to be fine with my kids. The Lord has saved him. That's what they got. That's how DUMB, they got the gal them in there looking, yeah? So there's also thought-stopping rituals, prayers, bursts, tongues, decrees, trances. I would put long hours of teaching, meetings in here, act as neural breaks. Whenever doubt appears, preventing new learning. So this is almost like a distraction as well. Okay. And then also there's a lot of isolation that's going to come into this. Remember I was saying there's no new experiences. They're not meeting new people. There's no new learning. Okay. And they do this through thought stopping rituals. They've always got these ritualistic practices that they're doing up. Okay. So that is thought. So the term for that is thought stopping and language capture. That's what they're doing up. So the survivor impact, automatic shame, dreaded critical thoughts, difficulty evaluating claims that use the old jargon. Because remember, they changed the meaning to things. So when people are saying to you, raw, like, the pastor's got a jet, yeah, because he's got so many countries to go to, and it was just so long for him. So with the jet, he could just get there half the time, and he's using it for the gospel. And do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because they got all their jargon in there. They've convinced the people, yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they've brainwashed the people to think that way. All right. Guys, is this making sense? Let me know in the chat. If it's not, be honest, guys. The next part that we're going to explore is social pain and conformity circuits. So social pain and conformity circuits. Anterior cingulate cortex processes social rejection like physical pain. So this part of the brain, the anterior cingulate cortex, this is the part of the brain that processes social rejection. So things like physical pain, I think this will be to do with emotions, you know, probably kind of having awareness of situations, boundaries. And that's why, you know, like when they're out and you're telling them, I've got somewhere that I attend, I'm sorry, I don't want to, you know, speak with you. It's like we see that coming in. We see the social pain and conformity circuit in coming in, yeah. They just cannot process the fact that we are telling you, go away. To the point where it's like, and that's why I said to you, know, with the street, you know what, is again, can you see the dopamine, the oxytocin, the adrenaline rush? Then team it with this. The social rejection element of it, they're literally getting programmed to process it in this way. Threats of shunning exploit this. So the brain learns questioning equals pain, or questioning equals punishment, or questioning equals you're demonized, DEVIL, or you're against them. Remember the black and white thinking, the us versus them. So it's that part of the brain that is getting rewired or programmed to operate in that way. Does that make sense, guys? Let me know if it makes sense in the chat. Oh my gosh, how am I going to pronounce this? Chill. All right, so there's a part in the brain, chill. I'm going to try and no, but I don't want to sound like some idiot. Temporoparietal. Chill. Temporoparietal. Temporo. Okay, that's temporoparietal. All right. Temporoparietal junction. The temporoparietal junction tune your social map. Leader equals safe and right, outsiders equal danger. So it's this part of the brain that I would imagine would shape and frame your psychosocial views, and that would be through social learning. So remember, you learn from your parents. When you see a child in nursery, she'll mimic the parent by maybe cleaning or washing up or whatever. They learn from their parents. Similarly, they're programming our mind to now see them, to process the world through their lens. Is this making sense, guys? So then we're equating the leader to safety, to our covering, to our spiritual father, to, you know, touch not the Lord's anointed, because this is our protection. When we leave, we're going to, you know, we're going to go to HL, we're going to lose we're going to lose our connection to Christ. We're going to lose Christ. That's the type of fear-based programming that they do up in there. So it's like the leader equals safe and right, and outsiders equal danger. So we see the us versus them coming in. We see the isolation. We see the demonization of the world. Okay. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. The part 2 is coming. So please remember to subscribe.